So I'd love to start with, since you just mentioned St. Louis, you filmed St. Louis, a little bit in Kansas, Illinois. Where all did you get for this short?
Well, wherever we could get is really what it boils down to. I mean, as an indie film, you're looking for found locations, live locations. So I'm based in St. Louis, and all of my crew was St. Louis. And as we were trying to source the various locations, obviously we're going close to home, but we moved over into Illinois, Troy, Illinois. There was a paper there. The paper was actually part of Senator Paul Simon's paper when he was an editor, and they had just been purchased by a larger publishing company, and they vacated their traditional offices, and so most of the original furnishings, all the papers from from about 100 years were all there. So we just took it over and we filmed a number of our scenes there. The short film takes place in western Kansas. So then we came and we did atmospheric shots of the town. So we were able to kind of blend all three of those different locations into kind of a cohesive location, which was a fictional town of Fort Liberty in western Kansas.
Yeah, it's seamless the way all coverage-wise. I'm curious. Let's talk about getting this great cast. You've got Jim, you've got Natasha's great performance, but also Dale in this. I mean, this is a good group of talent. How did this cast come about?
Well, I mean, it really didn't have much to do with me. I mean, more than anything, it's just like if you find a really good casting agent, then that casting agent goes out and does their job, and they bring really fantastic people to choose from. So we worked with Jordan Bass of Bass Casting, and we told him what we wanted, and we had there's a lot of obstacles about this film. I mean, it was in the middle of, the beginning of COVID. So we were I think that the first vax had just come out a couple of weeks prior to our filming, so there was a lot of hesitation for people. Do I want to travel? Do I want to work? How dangerous is it? So you have those obstacles, but then the other obstacle is that we're in St. Louis, and so we're bringing veteran talent from out of market in the middle of COVID, and then to work with a director that no one's ever heard of. So all kudos to Jordan Bass for convincing, Jim and Dale and their representatives that this was something worth coming in town and filming.
Jim, what was it about this Stace character? I don't want to give anything away from. It's a very hidden character, so I'm curious what attracted you to this role.
His prominence in the story. I did my days as a guy in the background, and I'm always hungry for a well-written, well-rounded character in a cogent and intriguing script, and I found all of that with this, and I thought this. For me, it's not. I like to kind of gamble on people that I don't know their work, but who've written something that I like. Sometimes it doesn't pay off. Sometimes you find yourself wading in ice water in Washington State in the middle of the winter for $5 and discovering that the guy doesn't know how to cut a scene together, and you go, oh, I could be at home with my feet on a coffee table, but fortunately that's not what happened here, and the potential that I saw in the script was carried out very much in the process of making it. So I was very happy when I was very happy to read it and feel like it was something that I could sink my teeth into. But I was also very happy with how it turned out, because they don't all turn out.
I'm curious. Speaking of that potential, there is very much I mean, we could follow her career and how much she dives into this. Is there any hope of extending Liberty into something longer?
Well, I mean, the reality is it wasn't concepted as a short film.
Okay.
So it's been written as a feature film, and my partner, my wife and I, she's a producer on the film. We really wanted, as we're going through the development phase, and I was working with another cinematographer, and typically I'm a commercial filmmaker, so I'm a director DP. But for something like this, I wanted to work with a veteran cinematographer, Selig Castrati, and so we concepted out. It's like, well, we should shoot a proof of concept, and so I whittled the story down and into a short film. But it's a full-blown feature, and it's a challenge on the short side, because for the feature it's a slow burn thriller, and that's a real challenge to try and capture that within the short film. But the idea is to do something bigger, and I will say that when I'm sitting in the edit room and I'm watching Jim play the character Stace, and I loved what I was seeing, but I was also just like, man, I would love to see another hour and 15 minutes of this, and I'd love to see where that character goes. And as I've gone through and I've done rewrites on the script and on polishes, I mean, I hear Jim's voice as Stace as I do my polishes and rewrites.
Jim, I've got to ask, you've gotten to work with people like a couple of times. Like you were on a couple of things with Guillermo. You obviously with Eric with Supernatural and the boys. You've gone back to people you've liked working with. Is there potential with this story to jump back into St. Louis with Chris again? Like, this character's so dynamic, he could be really evil in the long run. I'd love to see it.
Well, if Chris writes it and directs it, and he pays me a small fortune, I will be there. I'll be there even without the small fortune, but because I like the way he works, and I like the way he writes, and I like the way he directs, and all I got to do is, manage not to make him hate me. So I don't know if I pull that off, but I'm working on it.
I'm kind of curious. We were talking earlier about traveling and being in different spots, because you've obviously LA, but you've had to do like Vancouver. I mean, that was a long time you've been there, but you've also filmed in Texas, other places. Is it fun to get out of LA to film, or is it a hassle to get away from home?
No, I like the travel. I've spent the last 22 years raising a daughter by myself, so I'm it's sometimes been hard, and it's been hard on her, but just for myself alone, I really like going on location. And it depends sometimes on the location, but 9 weeks in Del Rio, Texas was a little much, but it was nothing against Del Rio. It's just you were either working or you were sitting in the motel watching baseball, and that can get tedious. But that was before cell phones and smartphones and laptops, so it's a lot better now, because anywhere I go, I just there's either a lot of stuff to explore when I'm not working, or there's something on the internet, and it's just like home.
I'm curious, what does it mean to have the film here in Kansas at Tallgrass? And if I'm not mistaken, this will play after, so I'm pretty sure that, was there an award given possibly for anything here? Am I jumping down a...
I wasn't given an award. Someone got a sort of talented award, but I don't, So I'll let Jim speak to that in a moment. But I will say, to play at Tallgrass, and I live in St. Louis, Missouri, but I'm a Kansas filmmaker. And when I left Kansas, I moved out to Los Angeles, and I found that all of my writing harkened back to the Midwest, and I'm very provincial, even when I didn't want to be provincial. I'm living in San Francisco, living in Los Angeles, and I loved the urban environments. But I did find that all of what I was thinking about from a creative standpoint was the Midwest in Kansas, and so having the film play here. It's so cool, and and to know that that's the audience that's seeing it is those are the stories that I'm trying to tell, and for me, placed as a character. We talk about stitching together 3 locations. It's interesting, but actually I don't like it. And what I would like to do is I'd like to film in Kansas. I'd like to have filmed this entire thing in Kansas. I mean, for the feature, I'd love to film in Kansas. And that's, to me, small towns in Kansas are not like small towns in Illinois. They're not like small towns in Texas. They have their own flavor to them, and in film we can really fake a lot of things, but I like the realism of, in that creative process, being as close to what we're trying to portray, both from a director as well as for the performers. I think that really helps. But in terms of kind of the award, that's, Jim got an award, and I'll let him speak to it, because the film played right before my feature film, Penitentia, and in between, Jim receives this award.
And I'm still waiting for them to take it back and tell me it was the wrong guy. But I've kind of felt that way about my whole career. So, I was very honored to get the Soaring Talent Award, which you stole my joke, but or I stole yours. I'm not sure, but
you got it. You got to say it on stage.
I got to say it on stage. The Sort of Talented Award, it was an honor. It was a bit of a surprise when they. When I heard about it, because I've always said that if I ever write my autobiography, it's going to be called "How Do They Know Who I Am?" I still can't. I still have a hard time coming to terms with the fact that anybody's noticed what I've been doing the last 50 years. So I don't mean to be coy about that, but it's it's still a little strange that anybody goes, "Hey, I like what you did." Really, you saw it? So I was very impressed with the idea, and a little bewildered, but very honored. And I think I said I don't think anybody's given me an award since college, and this was very pleasant.
That's so cool.
And I want to just say one thing is that, I mean, it is so deserving in Jim's career. And when Jordan Bass called me and said Jim was interested in Liberty, I was giddy. I was absolutely giddy, because I mean, you look through his career, you look through the characters that he's played and the productions that he's been on. It's wonderful, and so to get an award like that is just an absolute recognition of what a great craftsman he is, and what a career he's had.
Whatever.
I love that. I just as a final question, Jim, I'd love to ask if because you've also written during this, you've written plays, you've written some wonderful pieces on acting legends and films. I'm curious, working with writer-directors, does it ever spark you to write more? Are you writing right now? Is there anything you've got down the line?
Well, there's famous saying about writing is easy. You just stare at the typewriter keys until drops of blood form on your forehead. It's not a job that I find particularly easy. Acting comes to me it feels like falling off a log. It's total joy to me, and I don't, sometimes you struggle with a part, but for the most part, it's not a struggle to do the work I do. But writing is, your brain sweats, and but I've always got something cooking. I've got projects that I will never live to actually write, but they're piled up, backlogged in my head. And right now, most of my attention is going to a book I've been working on for many years about the TV Superman of the 1950s, George Reeves. And I've been working on that since, I don't know, the 1840s, I think. And thankfully, I'm on strike, and I got plenty of time to work on it right now. But fortunately, my career has been, okay, stop writing and go to Vancouver, go to Toronto, go to Provo, Utah, go to St. Louis, and shoot something, and then come back and hit the typewriter keys, or, the computer keys again. I've written a lot of plays, but it's been a while since I've written one, and I've written screenplays and television scripts, but the fact is, getting something made after you've written it is a task I kind of no longer have the energy for. It's hard enough to do the writing, but I can't seem to stop. There's always something in me that says tell a story, and fortunately I get most of that worked out through my acting, and there's a good chance you'll find me in front of the keyboard most days, whether anything good comes from it or not.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming to Tallgrass, and Chris, for giving us not just this film, but the feature as well. I know that's got a personal story to it as well. So thank you for bringing it to Tallgrass. Tallgrass is very excited to have you guys here.
Thank you. We're pretty excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for talking with us about the film.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.